Pakistan has called a high-level security meeting to formulate the country's response after India downgraded ties with its neighbour. New Delhi accused Islamabad of supporting terrorism after an attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. 26 people were killed when gunmen opened fire on tourists in the town of Pahalgam. Islamabad has denied any involvement.
A deadly militant attack in Kashmir has ignited a severe escalation in tensions between India and Pakistan. The attack, which occurred in the town of Pahalgam, claimed the lives of 26 people, 25 of them Indian tourists. It's being described as one of the deadliest incidents in the region in recent years, and its impact is already being felt far beyond the immediate tragedy.
Now, India's Defence Minister has warned there will be a loud and clear response to the killings of more than 20 of its citizens in Indian-administered Kashmir. There's been no official confirmation yet on who carried out the attack in the picturesque tourist town of Pahalgam, but some media reports say a group linked to Pakistan-based organisation Lashkar-e-Toiba has claimed responsibility. Well, Delhi has now closed its main border crossing with Pakistan in response to the attack. Kashmir is claimed by both India and Pakistan in full and has seen a decades-long insurgency against Indian rule that has claimed tens of thousands of lives. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Yugita Limai has reached the area and spoken to survivors. Some of you may find the images distressing.
Kashmir's famed beauty that draws masses of visitors to it is today the backdrop for some of the worst violence it's witnessed in the past 2 decades. These are the moments when gunmen opened fire at tourists in Pahalgam's meadows. Footage verified by the BBC. Dozens were killed. This photo has become a defining image. Himanshi Narwal's red bangles identify her as a new bride. The gunman said, "My husband doesn't look like a Muslim," and then he shot him. She's heard saying in this video, suggesting that some of the victims were targeted on the basis of their religion. Married less than a week ago, her husband was 26, a naval officer. They were on their honeymoon. Nearly all of those killed were from outside Kashmir. These ambulances took the bodies of the dead to the airport, followed by buses which carried their families, to be flown out to their hometowns in different corners of India.
This is a region that's not a stranger to conflict. It's faced an armed insurgency for more than 35 years. But rarely in those 3.5 decades have we seen an attack directed at tourists on this scale.
In South Kashmir, another home in grief. This is the family of Syed Adil Hussain, the only local man who was killed. He took people around Pahalgam on horseback and is believed to have been shot dead trying to protect a tourist. "There's no one to care for us now. We don't know what we'll do without him," his mother wept. Indian security forces are still searching for the attackers. What's happened at this location will have deep ramifications for the region and for the already fraught ties between India and Pakistan.
According to Indian officials, the convoy carrying the tourists was ambushed by heavily armed militants who opened fire in broad daylight. Security forces responded swiftly, neutralizing some of the attackers, but intelligence reports suggest others may have escaped into Pakistan-administered territory. The attack has reignited long-standing accusations from New Delhi that Islamabad supports and shelters terrorist groups operating across the line of control. In the wake of the violence, India has directly accused Pakistan of facilitating cross-border terrorism. Officials from India's Ministry of External Affairs stated that this attack was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of Pakistan-based groups targeting Indian civilians and security personnel.
Fahad Hussain is a columnist and president of Pakistan's Ek news channel. Fahad, you join us now from Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Thank you for being with us. So what has the reaction been to this attack in Pakistan and to India's diplomatic distancing?
Well, clearly, there is a sorrow for the loss of innocent lives. That's always the case and should be. So, on this particular note, I think there is no ambiguity. Wherever innocent people are killed, it is worth condemning, and I think Pakistan has done the right thing officially by releasing a statement and expressing sorrow at the death of these civilians. However, what has surprised many here in Pakistan is the way that India is now blaming Pakistan for these attacks without a shred of any evidence. And I think what is even more surprising is that this blame game started immediately after the attack happened. So many official and non-official accounts from India on social media started blaming Pakistan within minutes of the attack. So since that time, this blame coming from India has actually ballooned into warmongering. And that is clearly creating a sense of worry, because it is very easy for matters to escalate from here, which is why the meeting of the Pakistan's highest civil and military platform, the National Security Council, is taking place today. And then Pakistan will formulate a formal response. And I believe that that response will directly address the actions that the Indian government has taken last night, which includes, by the way, the suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, which has held despite since 1960, despite so many crises. So clearly, India is overreacting and blaming Pakistan without showing any evidence of why that blame is coming our way.
Pakistan, for its part, has denied any involvement, calling the allegations unfounded and politically driven. However, what has truly intensified the crisis is India's response. In a move that shocked international observers, the Indian government has announced the suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty. This treaty, signed in 1960 and brokered by the World Bank, governs the distribution of water from 6 major rivers that flow between the two countries. For more than 6 decades, the treaty has survived wars and diplomatic breakdowns, serving as a rare example of successful cooperation between the two nuclear-armed rivals. By suspending the treaty, India is threatening to alter the flow of rivers that are essential to Pakistan's agriculture and economy. Pakistan relies heavily on the waters of the Indus Basin, especially the rivers Jhelum and Chenab, for irrigation and drinking water.
Well, the Indian government has vowed to punish those responsible for the Kashmir attack that killed at least 26 people. At a public rally in Bihar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi declared India will pursue the terrorists and their backers to the ends of the earth.
Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done.
Any restriction or diversion could have devastating consequences for millions of people. Pakistan's reaction was swift and forceful. The government has declared the treaty suspension an act of war, stating that any attempt to divert water will be met with strong retaliation. The Pakistani military has been placed on high alert, and both nations have started moving additional troops toward their borders. The situation is increasingly volatile, and fears of a broader conflict are growing by the day. International leaders have expressed deep concern. The United Nations has called for calm and dialogue, emphasizing the need to prevent further violence. The United States, China, and the European Union have all issued similar statements, urging both countries to return to the negotiating table. In Pakistan, there is growing anxiety about water security and sovereignty, with many citizens viewing India's actions as a threat to their survival. Historically, the relationship between India and Pakistan has been marked by conflict and mistrust, especially over Kashmir. Both countries claim the region in full, but control only parts of it. The unresolved territorial dispute has been the trigger for multiple wars and countless skirmishes. Moments of peace have been fragile and short-lived. What makes this moment particularly dangerous is the combination of a major civilian attack and the disruption of a foundational treaty. The Indus Waters Treaty has long been considered untouchable, even during full-scale wars. Its suspension represents not just a diplomatic breakdown, but the possible end of one of the last remaining stabilizing factors in the relationship. As of now, the world watches with concern. Both India and Pakistan possess nuclear weapons, and any conflict between them carries catastrophic risks. The coming days will be crucial. If diplomatic efforts fail, the region could be heading toward a confrontation with far-reaching consequences, not just for South Asia, but for global stability. In a time when cooperation is needed more than ever, the escalation of old hostilities reminds us just how fragile peace can be. Whether cooler heads will prevail remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the world cannot afford another war in South Asia.